Hello everyone, my name is Howard Huang, and I'm now studying medical school, and I'm a 4-year-old student. Not 4-year-old. I study 4-year in medical school. This is an opening, but it's not good enough. If you start like this, good evening, my name is Howard Huang, and I have a secret of mine I want to tell you all. And this will catch all the audience attention, right? Right?
Yes.
Yes. So different opening will have different effects to the audience. So now I would like to give you some tips for you to make your speech more colorful. If you still remember the SOP, what is the SOP? Opening, body, and conclusion, right? 1 minute opening, 5-minute body, and 1 minute conclusion. But it's a 7-minute speech. So you have to add something more than just the structure. You have a concrete structure, but that's not enough. You need creativity. But creativity is not something that comes from accident. Part of them are, but part of them are not. There are some basic steps for you to make a speech that looks more creative. So let's start from opening part. First one, surprise. The opening purpose for you of opening is easy. You have to catch all the audience eyes. So you need a surprising opening. For example, doing presentations with visual aids become more and more popular these days. There are over 300 million PowerPoint users in the world who do an estimated 30 million presentations every day. Okay, if you have these handouts, you can take it out. This is not the opening for a C1 speech. It's a professional cup speech. But this person provides data and facts to make it more persuasive, to make the audience want to know more about presentation. The second one is a number. 300 million PowerPoint users and 30 million presentations every day. We do presentation every day, just like me now, but you will never think of there are 30 million people are just like you doing the presentation right now. Maybe the next door is doing the presentation. So this is a good opening because you catch the audience attention. Okay? The second one is called create a scenario. Create a scenario is a little harder for you because it depends on your description ability. You have to be like a novelist. You have to build up a world to make everything look like so natural and make the thing look like just coming from in front of your eyes. But here I will give you another example. Create a scenario. Imagine this. It's midnight. You're a doctor in an emergency room who hasn't relaxed for 30 hours. A patient has come in because of a car accident. You rush to the patient, set up the ventilator, a machine that helps everyone to breathe. And you started to perform CPR. 6 minutes later, the patient has died. So why is this a good opening? First, it doesn't have a happy ending. The patient died, right? So you might be curious about why? Why did the patient die? Or how? How could they prevent this from happening, right? And the second thing is that the writer has a good description ability. They use a vivid description so that you may feel the patients rushing with blood and the ventilator and the doctors in the emergency room. The atmosphere is very fast. So you feel that you will want to know more about what's going on next. So it's also a good opening. But if you are not if you're not a good writer like that, I provide you this is the easiest way for you. This is called the asking questions. Asking questions, and this is very, very common in individual evaluation or in prepared speeches or in anywhere in NTU Toastmasters. For example, have you ever asked yourself what kind of job do you want to have? Or do you really like my major? Or what do you want to do after you graduate? See, these are all simple questions that all the audience might have been thought of. So it can create a connection between all the audience so that the audience will want to know more about the answer that you want to give to the audience. But just remember one thing, that if you want to ask questions, do not use some bad questions like this. Have you ever thought of Maxwell equation applying into quantum physics? If you know what I'm talking about, please raise your hand. No one, right? Because this question is too complicated. So you have to ask simple questions to the audience so that you can make connection between the audience. Okay? Oh, I made it. Okay? Just skip it. And the second part is body part. In the body part, you have to extend your opening. But there is no SOP for you. But you have to remember it's a 6 to 7 minute speech, so the audience will get bored. So you need to add some spice into your body part. The first thing is twist. If you are a storyteller, you need to provide twist. 起承转合的转. Okay, twist. Because when all the audience are listening to your speech, they will have an expectation of your speech. And if everything gets right, the audience will feel bored of your speech. So you need to provide some twist to the audience. Also, you have to give support of your core value. If this is a persuasive or an informative speech, you want to make all the audience believe what you think. So you need to provide some concrete support for you, for the audience. Third, coherence. Since we start our whole body part from brainstorming, so some coherence and transitions are something you have to be careful with. Because if you don't have coherence, then the audience might not be able to follow your core value easily. So you need coherence and transition between each paragraphs. Also, if you are a good speaker, you can add more humors in your speech so that to make your body part more colorful. Okay? Finally, the conclusion. You can end your speech by a simple way, like, stay hungry, stay foolish. It's a quote, and everyone has heard of it. Or just like what I did in my first part of my SGD, 1 minute practice, and you can become a writer. It's a quote. But remember, this quote has to be useful. Otherwise, it will be look like this. The more birthday you have celebrated, the longer you live. Is this useful? It's always something always true, right? So it's nothing related to your core value. It doesn't have any effect on the audience. It's something I would already know. So for a quote, you have to consider about whether it is adequate in your speech. The second thing, drama. You can make your conclusion dramatic. But actually, dramatic is something hard to describe because it depends on your opening and body and how you deliver your speech, how you construct the world you want to give to the audience. So drama is something harder to imagine, but if you want to see some example here, I have demonstrated some ways to make it sounds more dramatic. And finally, call for action. Call for action is also the most common way in NTU Toastmasters to end their speech. For example, just like Jessica did yesterday. I can be the sunshine, and we all can be other people's sunshine. That's call for action. And it's very useful because you can extend your core value to all the audience so that the audience will have some take-home message and it will affect their future, maybe. So calling for action is important and it's easy for everyone to apply in your conclusion. Opening, body, and conclusion. So for the opening part, you can have surprise scenario and ask questions. Body part, you can have some twist, support coherence. And the conclusion part, you can give some quote, you can create a dramatic ending and call for action. But I have to remind you that these are all the tips for you to do it, but do not be restricted by these tips. Like, I want to start with a question, I want to start with a surprise. If you keep thinking about this, you will never have a surprise opening. Yeah. So you have to write your script first. Then you started to review your script and to see what spices can you add into your script. So if you still remember this person. The spices are just like the dress of this person. See? Ooh. Wow, a little bit more beautiful, but not that beautiful, I know. So these are the things. These things are just like a colorful dress of your structure, of your tips. And this is the end for my second part of my SGD. Now you can try to apply these and to see if you have some opening body conclusion you want to change into a better way to deliver, to catch the audience attention. Okay? Let's start. Okay? So you can start to look at your script and to see if you can add any spice into it. If you have no idea, you can just take a look at the sheets I gave it to you, the handout. There are some ways you can use in your speech.